about a half bucket, maybe a half hour or so. Could have done it faster. It usually takes me about an hour and 15 minutes to do a 5-gallon bucket, and that's pull, wash, rinse, and put up to dry. Drop it in there. That's the wash step. Wash them back and forth like this. It'd be better with a cement mixer with water. I'll throw the floaters out here in a second. But if you had a cement mixer, it'd be better. Just throw water in, turn the handle, or you could put a 2x4 frame around a bucket like this, put a lid on the bucket, fill the bucket up with water, spin the bucket around on a frame, and they're so rough they basically just they rub over themselves and they take the hull off and they wash. So that's that. I'll rinse these. I'll do this for a minute or two like that, throw the floaters out, and I'll toss them in here, and then roll them back and forth like this, and they'll roll over each other when they're dry, no water on them, and then I'll throw them in a bucket, and then basically take them up and just you can put them in your bathtub, or you can put them outside and run a hose over them, or you can put them in a wash bin, and then you're just rinsing them at that point in time. I'll show another video what they look like when they're done here. Here they are being washed, or after they're washed. I don't know how good you can see that with the sun, but it's a little bit better. Look a lot different. Been washed off pretty well. And like I said, you just rinse them. At this stage you can just rinse them off for a couple minutes, fill that up with water, sort them around a little bit, and they'll rinse right off. And then when you dry them, most of that stuff dries and falls off. So it's pretty easy. Usually when I do this, the other video, or earlier in the video, I'll sit on this bucket, I'll stomp a bunch of them around, stomp a bunch on them underneath one tree, and the best way is not even have to stomp them, is go out after they've fallen off the ground and the hole's rotten and then they've cracked because they've dried out, and then it rains again after that, and then basically they're just mush. You just pick them up and the hole falls right off, and you throw them in the bucket, and you just sit down and you pick around the bucket like a 4 or 5 foot diameter around the bucket, and you just pick them up by the handfuls and throw them in the bucket. And I mean, just leisurely pace, I can do a whole 5-gallon bucket process by hulling them, washing them, rinsing them, and putting them in my drying racks in about an hour and 15 minutes. And like I said, if I had a cement mixer or some way to put this in a stand, put a cover on it and then a lid on it, and then spin this real fast with water in there, like in a cement mixer, or this way with a 5-gallon bucket in a stand spinning around, like I said, it would go a lot faster. And you just basically, you know, I started doing this last year, and I watched 10 or 15 YouTube videos on other people doing it, and I just whittle it down. Holy Ghost gave me the wisdom to basically just find easier ways to do it, and it's totally worth it. It's not that much work, and especially since they'll keep, you know, probably between 5 and 10 years. They're so tough and they're so air sealed, and you just dry them for 3 or 4 days in 80-degree plus weather, or maybe a week or two in 70 to 80-degree weather, and set them out in the sun and let them dry, and they cure out in the oil. They dry out and the oil cures them through, and they last for years. Can't beat it. Here I got my gloves. I got some nitrile liners. Just your regular dollar store rubber coated gloves. The liners keep your hands pretty clean, as you can see. A lot cleaner than last year. My hands got pitch black. I didn't know what I was doing. Here's the walnuts after they're rinsed and ready to be put in a drying rack. Here is one drying rack. That'll hold 2 5-gallon buckets full of black walnuts. You can also use your milk crates. Just make sure you got space down there at the bottom for the air to go underneath them. There's another rack that I got, and 3 more racks that I have. Got some tomatoes up here, and a pepper plant there, and some beets right there. And I live on the 4th floor balcony, and just got a little bit of space, but with some ingenuity and whittling the process down, you can make it worthwhile. And these things, when they're cured out, like I said earlier, they'll be, you know, 3, 4, 5 days in 80+ degree weather. That'll cure them out. You just crack them open and check them, a couple of them, and if they're not done, they'll be watery and rubbery, moist. If they're done, they'll be like, you know, they'll have a little bit of oil to them, but not too much because they've been cured. and they'll just be like regular walnuts. They'll be done and ready to go. If you don't have 80-degree plus weather, you probably want to let them sit out on a good day like this where it's windy, the sun's out. They hit about 84 today, they said. But 2 or 3 weeks of 70-degree weather, 60-degree weather, sun shining on them, put them up against a brick building like this, or put them in a warm spot on the south side of your property where the sun hits them. You got a windy day, so the air can circulate around them screens. And those racks are the same on the front as the bottom, except for, you can see there, the screen runs out where I've got about 3 inches there to put them in. So each one of those racks, like I said, holds 2 5-gallon buckets. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8. There's about 2 5-gallon buckets in that, and those 2 milk crates. So that's about 10 and about 10 and a half 5-gallon buckets. That's a pretty good deal. And I'll show you my stash from last year, which is right here. Turn the light on. Try to keep it steady. Just keep them dry all year, keep them inside, keep them, 50 degrees or so, 70 degrees, whatever your room temperature is. You keep them in a garage. It's best to keep them in containers like that where the air moves through them so they don't get condensation in them. I just have them in a big tote down there on the bottom. But there's enough surface area on the top, they're good. And but like I said, best way is probably these type of laundry containers or something like that. You can keep them in dry racks all year if you wanted. But the best part about these containers is, in this apartment complex there's 12 dumpsters, and for whatever reason people just set these containers next to them or throw them on the top of the dumpster. And just pick them out and wash them up, and there you go. It's like a $5 bill for just about every one of them or more. But some of them are cracked, but who cares? They hold black walnuts. They sell about $20 a pound shelled, and $5 to $10 a pound in the shell, I believe. But they're a superfood. They say they kill cancer, they say they kill worms, and they say they kill bacteria. And when you crack it open and look at it, it looks just like your brain. So it's God's way of telling you, eat more black walnuts. Can't beat that. Alright, here I am cracking some of these black walnuts. I'm going to show you the best way I found to do it. Unless you have like a vise or a mechanical contraption to crack them like they sell machines, hand crank machines, this is the best way I've found. And some people crack them like this, top down, but if you do that, they just split in half, and then you have to take the half, and you have to take, have 2 halves, and you have to crack that. And a lot of times if you hit them too hard, you'll break them, and you may get halves out of them, but it's a pain. You got to be careful. If you want to do a whole bunch of them, like I got a stainless steel bowl about this big here, and I got one about the same size. I'll show you. And if you want to go through a whole bunch of them, it's best to just put them on their side and crack them, and you get good quarters out of them that way. I'll show you in a minute. But this is basically the way I do them. You can do them faster this way, bulk this way. A lot of them, just crack them like that, and then it does break them up some. But what'll happen is, what I do is I'll throw that into a container, and throw that in like a Tupperware container and shake it up, and a lot of those pieces will fall out. So, and then a lot of times they come out better than that. Get it like this, and see, like that piece I didn't crack it. So a lot of times you'll get eighths, quarters. Sometimes you'll get halves. You get chunks like this in there, and then a lot of those will shake out later. But a lot of times you can just bust them apart with your hands, and you don't get as big of pieces. But here's some of the other ones I've broken. Sometimes you'll get halves or quarters like that, and like I said, you put them in a container, and you shake that container up, and these, so you can see how they're kind of loose there, those will fall out a lot of times, or you can just pick them out real easy. But anyways, if you want to do a lot of them fast, it's best to just hit them on the side and quarter them like that. Quarter them, half them, like that one right there. You get a piece off right there, and then it didn't half, like right here, it didn't half it again, so you got to do it again like that. I think the squirrels are getting jealous. I can hear the red squirrels chittering at me and coming down the trees, spying on me. There's one sitting right up there watching me. He's eyeballing my stash. I don't know what it is about squirrels, but the little ones are more aggressive. I wouldn't worry about the fox squirrels and the gray squirrels, or the black ones. Black and gray, same thing. But them little pinies, there's no telling what they'd try to do. So anyways, it's just faster to hit them with a hammer. I've tried vices and stuff before, and they kind of work alright, but they're not as fast. And this is just more fun smashing stuff. It's a good stress reliever. So you get good pieces like that, that's good enough. Main thing is you want to make sure that you get quarter pieces, because if you get a half like that, that's what happens when you hit them like this, you get a half. And now you got to take it like that, now you got to hit it again. Real careful to get that apart. You throw that off, and then you're trying to get this apart, and then you're like, oh, I want to get this, I want to get that beautiful half out of there, but I can't. And then you got to, there, part of it fell apart, and then you come here like this, and you got to hit that, and you're broken apart, and you smash it in the rock, and now you got to clean that off if it bothers you. And it's just easier to just hit them on the sidewall, just enough to crack them in quarters, and then basically all that will shake out or pick out, and you can just do them fast. You can just go through a whole thing of them. Like I said, best thing to do is get you a container, like a big Tupperware container, put a lid on it, shake them real hard when you get it like that, and they shake apart. And then you just you either pick the walnut shells out, or you pick the pieces, the meat out, and you go for the biggest pieces, and then the next biggest pieces, and then, you know, I can get it probably about a 16-ounce jar in about 2 hours maybe. Give or take how fast I'm going, which isn't bad. And if I had somebody to help me sort them, it'd be half that. So, but 2 hours for probably a pound, 2 hours to shell a pound, that's not bad. And like I said, it's fun to just smash stuff. You know what 8-year-old wouldn't love to do this with their parents or grandparents, or with your relatives, your neighbors, your church, etc. So that's that, and there's my bowl, there's my other bowl, and you can see a lot of these will just shake and break apart. See, that one's kind of coming apart, might need to hit it again. Some of these I'll redo them, but a lot of times you can pick that out, or you can shake it out, and then you get some pretty good pieces in there, and you can see a lot of your halves and your quarters. There's a good chunk, and that's pretty much how you do it. And like I said, you just put this in a big Tupperware container, or some kind of enclosed container, and just shake it real hard for a couple minutes. And a lot of these, like this one right here, see how that's coming apart, and a lot of these will come out. And yet there is a lot of smaller pieces, but you're doing so many of them that you're getting a lot of bigger pieces too. You're getting good chunks like that, so it's worth it. And like I said, you can just mow through them and do a whole bunch of them that way. Like I said, it takes me maybe about 2 hours or so, depending on how fast I'm going, to get me about a good probably 16-ounce glass jar of just pure nut meat, pure walnut. So that's it. That's how I do it, and hope it helps you. God bless. All right, earlier when I was outside cracking these, I said it takes me about 2 hours or so to sort through them, pick through them, and get a 16-ounce jar, and I was mistaken. I was confusing that. I should have said a 32-ounce jar. Basically, there's your size comparison. And this is probably about a 16-ounce jar here, a regular one. so you can see the size differences. So I can fill this up in about maybe 2 hours of going through here, and so I'm going to show you here if I can. What I'm going to do is take these and pour them into this container. And I need to get a bigger container, some kind of a tote or something, but like I was saying earlier, it's a dried one. I like the ones that are kind of dry. But like I was saying earlier, you put them in a container like this, and a lot of these, I don't know if you can see this, I'm going to double check it, but a lot of that will just shake out. That's already empty, just from being tossed in this container. This is probably about the size of an eighth. You don't get too many halves, you get quarters, eighths, but like I said earlier, it's just a lot faster to do it this way for bulk. And even if you're getting little chunks like this, it doesn't matter when you got it. If you're getting little chunks like this, it doesn't matter when you're getting a handful of them. And there's a lot of good chunks in here you can see already. And then like these, if that doesn't shake out, it's kind of loose there. If that doesn't shake out, it'll pick out. Good chunks in there. And if you're gonna do it for bulk, this is the way to do it. And then you just have to sort and pick, and pretty self-explanatory at this point in time. Making a mess here. I'm going to leave probably about that, a quarter full. And like I said, just shake it for a couple minutes. Go over here and do it so it's not so loud. Just see there's just that walnut dust is everywhere, and some people would say, oh, I don't want to eat that, that's the outside, that's the hull. But anybody that makes tinctures, they make the tinctures with it's real green. I did that last year. I'll show it to you. Black walnut tincture. Looks gross. I still have the vodka from last year. Cheap vodka, about 10 bucks for this. I poured about half of this into here, put green holes in there, then covered up the rest. Still got the rest of the vodka from last year because I don't drink. And then basically put a little bit of oil on the top, and it kept it green for months and months and months. But you can see there's holes in there, black walnut holes, and you want to make sure there's no worms in there when you get the black walnut when they're still green and are real stringent. And then you cut the hull off. You basically have to cut the hull off. You just, take your knife and go around it and cut it and then kind of twist it. You twist the hull off and you put it in that vodka, and basically you take an eyedropper or a spoon or something, and you get like 3 or 4 or 5 drops of this, and you basically put that in your water and drink it, and it's a tincture. Real strong. And they sell it. They sell that stuff. If juglone is the hormone or whatever it is that's in the plant that's in there, and they sell that in health food shops for like $6 or $7 for like probably 3 or 4 ounces of it. Probably like maybe a little bit bigger than this. This is 1 ounce, probably like 3, 4, 5, 6 ounces. But anyways, so a lot of people would be like, oh, I'm not gonna, you got all this walnut black dust on there. Well, that'll shake off. That'll blow off. That'll go away. Plus you can wash your black walnuts after you get them separated. But it's not going to hurt you to eat that dried hull. As a matter of fact, it'd probably help you. But you don't eat too much of it anyways. But anyways, so I shake them up like that, and then it just makes it easier. There's shakes all the loose pieces out, and then basically shakes the loose pieces out, and then you can just kind of start picking through them, and you can pick them out like that, the pieces out. And then, like I said, if that dust bothers you, just wash it off. But that's pretty much how I do it. And then I'll put the rest of these in there, shake them up, and then pick them through it. And then you want to get you a good pick. The other ones, the old ones are dull. I don't know what this thing was, but I bought it at like a discount grocery store. It was like 3 of them for $1, and they're great. And they just can just pick right in there and just pick that stuff right out like that, and pick them up and grab a piece like that, and there you go. If you want to be careful, or most of the time when I'm doing it, I'll just go like that and just go right through them, and then pointy things, just knock it right out. And you got your shell, and I just take my shell, shouldn't throw that one shell back in there. But then you just throw the shells up to the side, throw them in the trash, and there you go. See, this one shook out. The other thing you could do, shook out. There's no pieces in that, it's empty, it shook out. This one's got a few pieces in here like that. And I can just go like this, and it will break a lot of them up in little pieces, but who cares? You just go through and sort, and a lot of times it's like panning for gold in a river. You get down and you just shake like this, and the heavier pieces will either go to the top or the bottom, however it works. I don't remember exactly, I can't remember, but basically they'll separate from each other, and you can just kind of go like that, and the shells will separate from the meat, and you just knock it out. So like I said, it took me about 2 hours to get a 32 ounce jar. So that's probably about 2 pounds. Or I don't know, probably not. It's a 32 ounce jar. It's not 2 pounds probably, because all the air in between it. But anyways, a 32 ounce jar, like I showed you earlier, is a good, it's a good fair amount. So I hope I'm doing this right in front of the camera lens, so I don't have to reshoot this. Just make it on the fly. But yeah, you want to get yourself a good pick like that, and then see how that piece just pops right out, boom. Can't beat that. And then these pieces, you just grab them like that, knock them out, and sometimes you'll get pieces in there that kind of a pain, but that's it. Pretty much it. This one just pulls right out because it's shaken. That's the other thing. When you shake them up and you get the dust in there, the dust kind of makes them easier to pull them right out of the shell. And here's some pieces that shook out. See, these I'd say these are about the size of 8s. And there's just, they just shake out, or maybe those ones I just pulled out. But anyways, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them that just come right out of the shell, and you just go through there. You'll get a lot of pieces like this. You can just pick them out. And what I should be doing is not usually what I'll do is I won't put them back in there. I'll have a smaller container like this, and I'll go through and I'll put all the nut meat in here like that. But I wasn't thinking, because I was doing it for this. And then that way you separate the shells. You don't have to go back and do it again. I don't have to handle the stuff twice. But you'll get a piece like that, and then you just go like that, and that one's falling apart, but who cares? And then you'll get some pieces like this. So that one you can just about shake it out. And then if you go kind of with the grain, you usually get them to pop right out. get a lot of pieces like that where there's little ones. Most people just throw that away if it was a vise, but it adds up, it really does. And you get a piece like that, I don't know what's that, a 16th? You get a piece like that, it's worth it. And so, you know, here, that one fell apart. That one, these are just going to come right out. A lot of times you can just grab them like that and just pick them right out. That's probably an 1/8, maybe a 1/4. And you'll get pieces like this where you just, you know, you got a good, you know, you're getting some good chunks there. And a lot of times I've seen other people had some good ideas with a pipe wrench or a pipe clamp. And but you know, they were throwing little pieces like this away. They were just going for the bigger pieces. And if you're going to do it, make it worth it. Jesus said, "He who is faithful in little will be faithful in much. He who is unfaithful in little will be unfaithful in much." So if you're going to do it, you might as well do it and not waste it. That old saying, "Waste not, want not." There's a better saying. The Holy Bible said it first. It's in Proverbs. I can't remember, 16 I think, or 13. But it says, there is much food in the tillage of the poor because they're not diligent. So basically it's like they have a lot of food, but they're not, you know, they're just squandering it. So anyways, that's that. That's how I do it. Just sort through it, knock them out, throw them away, and that's pretty much the best way I found to do it so far. I might find some more refinements, but for the most part you can see how it's kind of efficient for one person to do it and have a good value out of it, or get good value out of it. Anyways, thanks for watching. God bless. Bye. This is 24 inches wide, 5 feet long, $3.99 at Menards, 19 gauge, 1/2 inch mesh. Just fits right over your plywood frame like you saw.